Welcome to the Judith TV show. Form, today's hottest celebrity relationship gist, secret romances exposed, shocking breakups shaking the internet, and couples everyone is talking about. Which gist do you believe, and which is just hype? Stay tuned for more. Welcome to the Judith TV show.
Hello, dearies. So finally, the thing is over between Yul Edochie and May Edochie. I wasn't um, updates. I mean, I wasn't on updates as in what has happened about their divorce case until after this homecoming of May. When the news started filtering in, that they've been divorced. As a matter of fact, I saw a post, I can't remember who, maybe a member of May Nation or so, that said it was since the 16th of January this year. So, I mean, no wonder when you was granting interview, he said his ex, but we didn't get it. We thought is that is the usual way of talking and everything, not knowing that finally, that thing has ended. Just like Kubana Chief Reader sang that song, finally, Adama Brugo, my wife, or something like so. Finally, has finally happened. So unfortunate because this is something that could have been avoided, and I know too well that I may not know May one on one, but the least thing she had wanted was this kind of a divorce, to be divorced from her husband. Because I recall when this thing started happening, or when it happened, she her first appearance, live appearance on Instagram, she said that her world suddenly crashed before her. Her world that was so peaceful and everything, all of a sudden the thing now crashed before her and everything. Like I said, it's quite unfortunate that it ended this way, but it was inevitable. It was just inevitable, going by the way you and Judy was handling it or handle the thing, so to say. Friends, I just want to say to gentlemen out there, in fact, even to ladies, couples out there, when there's an issue in your marriage, in your marital relationship, okay, because nobody is perfect, you guys are just coming from two backgrounds, try as much as possible to settle it. Forget about this all ego and all this pride and everything. Try as much as possible to settle it. What happened in the case of Yul is the situation of somebody eating an apple and losing a garden. You ended up eating an apple and losing a garden, and it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And rather than see how to salvage the thing early enough, you just went about it in such a way as in to cajole this woman, to press her, to force her to. You that said it's a plural polygamy. So up until now, I was thinking that they should have been, Justin should have gotten an assistant and all that. But up until now, we have not seen. But like I said, to distinguish ladies and gentlemen out there, please, or couples out there, when there's an issue in the home, try as much as possible to handle it. You guys should talk, open up to each other, address issues, find a common solution to your challenges. Okay, because if you leave it like that, it doesn't matter, or I don't care, or you want to suppress the other person, and that it ends up this way. And maybe you had expected that this thing was going to drag a long time, so that May will just be on her own while he's living his life and he has moved on with another, raising a second family and all that. Thank God for the judge that ruled the case. Honestly, kudos to that judge, because he must have seen, because I mean the whole thing is just there on the social media, so he must have seen that this man has moved on with another woman, raising a family, up to 3 kids, and then you are now resisting this one by bringing up one or two arguments here and there. And I also understand from the post that that particular main nation person made, that all the properties that has been in contention, that you has been saying, okay, sell it and divide the money and all that, which doesn't make sense, because if they divide it and sell them, I mean, if I sell the house and divide the money, that means May will be the one that will, responsible for providing accommodation for her own children, while you will now have his take his own to go and provide accommodation for his second family. So why is you not the one providing accommodation for his first family, so to say? So, but I think the court, in their wisdom, took a very good decision by, awarding the properties to the children. Okay, let the children now have it. So May didn't get anything, you didn't get anything. Okay, since he has a second family and is making money, and Judy Austin is also making money, that kind of a thing. So he can now take it off from there. I think that was a very, very fair judgment, concerning the divorce case. But like I was saying, couples, you do well to. Most times when there's an issue like that, this coming to social media to start talking and start exposing one or two things, it doesn't really help. You know why? Because most times when you expose a lot of things and then, the point where you now start regretting it, it will be difficult for you to withdraw your words or to withdraw one or two things that you have done that is out there on the social media. People will always remind you. But if you had been able to keep your cool, maintain your cool, creating room for reconciliation, it makes it easier so that, if there's any a possibility of reconciliation, it makes it easier, it flows better, it flows faster. But by the time you come to social media and mess a lot of things up, what still was when Kambili passed and then you behaved the way he behaved, and then Judy Austin now came defending him. You want to tell a 40-something-year-old man how to mourn his son? Oh, he should bend his neck so that you know that all manner. You begin to wonder how insensitive can this woman be, And I also like to say to those people that have been hailing you and Judy, oh, you Dogu, don't mind them. He's happy with Judy. He's happier. Judy is his peace of mind, and so on and so forth. Listen, you guys didn't help you. To be honest, you guys did not help you at all. See, you is dying on the inside of him. He knows that he's dying on the inside of him, but pride will not allow him to come out and do the necessary things. And by the time you guys are now hailing her, so it became difficult for him to maybe to apologize or to right his wrongs, because it will now look as if he's a weakling, after people must have hailed him, after people must have said that he's an odogu or whatever. So it was really difficult for him to do the needful. So he decided to fly on that false hailing, something like false hyping. And at the end of the day, this is where the thing has landed him. Well, to God be the glory that he has ended this way. At least both parties are alive, and then well, we now see how far God will take them. And like I said in the video that I made about the homecoming of May, there is something that I heard, but like I said, it is not for me to say it for now. Okay, it is not, the information is not for now. It's not meant for now. When it is due, okay, I will come up with the information and all that. When it's ripe, we'll come out with the information and update our respective subscribers and followers. But for now, to be honest, well, he has turned out the way he has turned out. Okay, I just pray that people will learn from this kind of a thing, because this thing has been going on. In fact, somebody was just saying that the reason why you was dragging, because he wanted it to be like the case of Daddy Freeze own that lasted for 10 years or something, and that was why he was bringing excuses and arguments here and there, and resistance here and there and all that, until the judge now said, no, you can't be, you must not have moved on with another, raising a second family, and then you're still keeping this woman as in, despite all his beggings. But you always go to the back to go and beg, and then come to the front and then present a different front altogether, which I think it's not ideal. That's why I said that the case of Yul is the case of someone who just ate an apple and lost a garden. That's just the thing. Yul ended up eating an apple and losing a garden. And you know that in a garden, you have apple, you have pawpaw, you have avocado, you have bananas, you have pineapples, you have all sorts of fruits there. So, but when you come and eat only apple, you just eat only one, and you lose this one, you are the one that lost, But anyway, we hand God over everything, and then trust God that God will help them to move on and take it off from there. Okay, friends, I just saw that and I was like, so finally this thing has happened. This thing has lingered for I think 3 or 4 years now, that this thing has been happening. Initially May didn't sue. I think it was after Campbell's death that the lawman, the Mecca man, now came out and was now saying that you started beating May, after Kambili passed for whatever reason, So because of that, there was even a time, there was a serious threat on, something like that from him. So based on that, May now quickly rushed to court and then first of all got a restriction order restricting him from coming to the house, that Ajah mansion. And then from there, she now decided that look, there's just no point. If Kambili has gone the way he went, and then the father is busy doing it this way, and then the other woman is not seeing anything wrong in that, let me just file for divorce so that this man can move on with his life, and let me also move on with my life. I think it was at that point, because initially May didn't file for divorce. It was until events were just unfolding. It got to a point that she said, no, let me, protect my other children and protect myself. That was why she now went to court, and then we're all hearing the outcome of the court, the divorce case, up to now. Like I said, we hand God over everything. Though we'll see how God will just see, both parties through and all that. Okay. So friends, that was what I saw. And I said, okay, let me come and share the news with you. I'm certain that a good number of us must have seen it, okay? But at the comment section, whatever counsel you have for couples, okay, to learn from this, there must be one or two. In every mess, there's always a message. In this mess, there's a message, okay? So whatever you feel that is a message you want to communicate to couples, so that, people can learn and then avoid possible mistakes that could lead them to their marriage to this kind of one that ended with a May and a Yul. Please leave it at the comment section. Let's further the conversation there, okay? I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so very much for always watching my videos. I sincerely celebrate each and every one of you. Bye for now, dear friends. Bye.